Hello again, guys. Welcome back to our lesson. So, we are going to continue talking about the past, specifically about experiences. That's what we studied the last lesson or the previous lesson, how to talk about experiences with the present perfect. We mentioned that we use the present perfect when we talk about an experience the first time, and we said that we use the present perfect to emphasize or give more importance to the event, to the experience, and not necessarily to the time or when the experience occurred, right? We know that we can use the past simple to talk about experiences as well. But remember that we use the past simple when we give specific details about the activity. So the past simple is for activities that occurred in the past, and we mention specifically when in the past the activity occurred, and it stayed in the past. There is not necessarily a connection to the present. The present perfect makes the connection because it's relevant, that experience now, and because it's relevant now, I don't mention a phrase in the past with time, and it's also because it's relevant now that I use the present perfect with activities that started in the past, continued in the past, and they are still occurring now in the present. Yeah, so they started in the past and they continued, and they are relevant now in the present because they continue occurring now in the present. So let's check if we understand that. And we are going to start with an activity. And I have some sentences here, but the person that created the sentences probably doesn't understand the difference between present perfect and past simple. So I need your help to identify what's wrong in the sentences. You need to read the sentences and correct the mistakes. And it's important that you try to understand why the sentence is incorrect, so we can discuss that and you can explain better what's the problem with the sentences. So take a piece of paper, write down the correct version, and try to think why the sentence is it's not good. Of course, we are comparing past simple and present perfect, so you need to decide which option would be better in each of the sentences. So you can pause the video right now so you have time to do the activity, and then we will check it in some minutes. Pause your video, and we will check and explain later. Okay, guys, so let's check what you did. So for number one says, I have never met my grandmother. She died before I was born. What's the problem there? Apparently, grammatically, the sentence is correct, right? I'm using present perfect, and the structure for present perfect is good. The second sentence, she died before I was born, is in past simple, and the grammar is correct. The verb is in past. So the problem is not grammar. The problem is the idea, right? Or if it's cohesive, if it's logical. So remember that we use the present perfect when we can make a connection to the present, when there is a possibility of the activity to be relevant in the present or continue in the present, right? In the first part, I say, I have never met my grandmother. When we use the present perfect for experiences, and especially in the negative, like I have never experienced something, we mentioned that we don't have the experience in the past. So in my past, I don't have that experience. But we understand that now in the present is relevant, and now in the present, that experience can be possible. Let me give you an example. If I say, I have never eaten sushi, you understand that I don't have that experience. But if you invite me tonight to go have dinner, we could go to a Japanese restaurant and I can eat sushi. So there's a possibility in the present and in the future for the experience to occur. Yeah? Because that experience that I don't have in the past It's relevant now in the present, and it can be possible in the future or in the present as well. Yep. The problem in the first example is that I'm trying to make a connection between the past and the present, yeah, with the sentence in present perfect. I have never met my grandmother. So I'm trying to say that I don't have the experience. But present perfect gives the idea that I can have the experience now. But we know that that's not possible in number one. Yeah? You cannot have the experience. The person doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, the person died. So I cannot use the present perfect because present perfect makes connection between past and present. And in this case, there is no more opportunity for me to meet my grandmother because my grandmother passed away. My grandmother is dead. So the correct version would be I never met in past simple. So I didn't have the opportunity in the past. I don't have the opportunity now. And I'm not going to have the opportunity in the future. So that activity is in the past. An activity that occurred in the past and stayed in the past. Past simple. I never met my grandmother, right? Number 2, have you called John yesterday? The problem is that I'm including yesterday. And yesterday is a word or an expression of time that I use with the past simple. So I cannot mix or match yesterday with present perfect. It doesn't sound good, right? It doesn't sound okay. If my emphasis is in the experience or the event, I need to eliminate yesterday. And I can say, have you called John? Yeah, and that's correct. Have you called John? And if I want to keep yesterday in the question, I need to change the question and use it in the past. And I can say, did you call John yesterday? And now the sentence is good. So I have two options, or just present perfect or just past simple. Number 3, did you ever try the cereal called quinoa? Again, I'm talking about an experience, right? And for the first time that I ask a question about an experience, I use the present perfect. So in this case, we don't have context, but I think that the correct answer or the best possible answer would be present perfect. So I say, have you ever tried a cereal called quinoa? And now the sentence or the question sounds better. Yep. Number 4, same problem. I am trying to be specific, but I cannot be very specific with present perfect. So I'm trying to use present perfect and be very specific as well. So those expressions in 2002, last year, last month, 3 days ago, those expressions are exclusively most of the time for past simple, not present perfect. So if I want to modify this sentence and keep the year, I need to use past simple. So I eliminate have and I just say I studied German in 2002. Yep. And that would be better. And number 5, again, the same problem. I have a very specific word, last Christmas, and I'm trying to include or force that expression in present perfect. That's not possible. So I need to change, or I eliminate last Christmas, or I change the structure and I use past simple. So I wasn't, because the verb is to be, been. So I wasn't on holidays last Christmas. I wasn't on holiday last Christmas. Or I can say, I haven't been on holiday lately, right? I haven't been on holiday for a long time. So I can eliminate last Christmas. Now, so that's how the sentences would be better, right? I didn't go on holiday last Christmas. That would be good. So remember, it's important. Yes, you are the one that decides if you want to use past simple or present perfect when you are creating your sentences. Yes, you decide. But keep in mind that if you are talking about an experience in general, you cannot be specific. If you want to be specific about the time and give more details about that experience, use the past simple. Because if you mix both, you're going to have problems in like the sentence being logical and also grammatically correct. So try to remember that. Yeah, you can start talking about an experience with present perfect, and later or after that sentence give more information about that experience with the past simple. Yeah. So let's imagine that somebody asks you, okay, have you ever tried a cereal called quinoa? And you can say, yes, I have tried quinoa. Yeah. I tried quinoa, past simple now. Yeah. I tried quinoa when I visited my grandma in her small town. It was 2 years ago, and I had so much fun trying quinoa, and I liked it very much. I think it's a very versatile cereal. I don't know, and you can continue. But at the beginning, I was using present perfect. Have you ever tried quinoa? Yes, I have. I have tried quinoa before. Now, think about that. So remember that we use the past simple for activities that started in the past, occurred in the past, finished in the past, and they stayed there. So in the examples that I have here, I'm trying to make you understand that. So I have 3 sentences and I have 2 questions. Which sentence indicates an action that started in the past but affects the present? We know that the answer is the last sentence, right? I have learned 50 verbs and I have improved my English. So something that occurred in the past, but now I'm talking about that. So it's connected to the present and it's relevant now, right? So we use the present perfect to talk about experiences or events connected from the past to the present. Yeah, and we do not normally indicate the specific time when they occurred because it's important the experience. So that's how we do it, present perfect. Now, what about the other 2? The other 2 indicates an action or indicates actions that occurred in the past at a specific time, 3 years ago, last year. So that's past simple. And we use past simple to talk about situations or events that occurred, finished, stayed in the past. And it's relevant to mention when, the specific time when they occurred. Yeah. So I hope you understand the difference between past simple and present perfect. And when you are talking about your experiences in the past, you can use both structures and mix both structures correctly to express what you want in English. Thank you very much for your attention, guys, and see you